OPM just released its June retirement processing numbers, and something doesn't quite add up to me. In June, OPM received 8,663 new retirement claims while processing 12,751. Its pending inventory also dropped from 38,500 to 33,800. So that sounds like progress, right? It is, but at the same time, the average processing time jumped from 87 days in May to 108 days in June. Digital cases averaged 96 days, while paper cases averaged 120 days. So, how can OPM reduce its backlog, but retirees are still waiting longer? And more importantly, what could that 108-day average mean for your money after your federal paycheck stopped? Because your bills you had while you were working, they don't suddenly get smaller or just go away because your retirement application is still being processed. By the end of this video, you will understand what OPM June numbers really mean, what the 108-day average does and does not include, and how to estimate the financial gap that you may face while waiting for your full pension. Welcome back. My name is Shari, and this is Retirement and Freedom with Shari. If you are new here, thank you for showing up. If you've been rocking with me, I appreciate you. On this channel, we talk about the real side of retirement, the pension delays, the financial adjustment, and the lesson nobody warned us about: how to create freedom after leaving the workforce. And I'm not talking about this from the outside looking in. I actually experienced it. I retired from federal service July 31st, 2025, and I waited months for my pension to be finalized. Exactly 327 days, almost a year later, and then discovered. So when I saw OPM's June numbers, I knew we needed to talk about them, because these are not just statistics on the government report. Behind every number is retirees waiting for the money that they earned. So let's talk about what happened in June, shall we? On a positive note, OPM completed more cases in June than they had received. That helped bring the total pending inventory down to about 4,000 to about 700 cases in 1 month. So yes, OPM is making progress reducing the number of retirement cases sitting in its inventory. But here's the part that federal employees cannot ignore. The average processing time increased by 21 days in just 1 month, rising from 87 days average in May to 108 days in June. And digital cases, which had an average of 66 in May, took a new average of 96 days in June. Paper cases even took longer, averaging about 120 days. Now, that doesn't mean that every federal retiree will wait exactly 108 days. It also doesn't mean that someone submitting an application today is guaranteed to receive a decision within the 108 days from now. The number represents the average processing time for immediate retirement cases OPM completed in June. Some cases were completed faster. Some cases, of course, took longer. But the increase tells us something important, and I don't want you to miss this. Even while OPM is reducing its workload, retirees still need to prepare for a processing period that could last several months. So let's talk about, when does the OPM clock really start? Here's where many federal employees get caught totally off guard. The 108-day processing average does not necessarily begin on the last day that you walk out of the office. After you retire, your agency must finish preparing the paperwork. HR has to do their thing, and then it goes over to payroll. The payroll office must certify your records. They must process your final paycheck and your annual leave payment. and then send your retirement information to OPM. OPM's Retirement Quick Guide estimates that the agency and payroll portion of the process generally takes approximately 30 to 45 days. That means you may have already be several weeks into your retirement before OPM receives everything it needs to even begin processing your case. And interim pay does not automatically appear in your bank account the moment you retire. Let me tell you, OPM states that interim pay processing begins after they receive the completed retirement package from your agency. So when you are preparing financially, don't just plan around OPM's published average. You need to also consider the time your paperwork may spend at your agency and payroll office before it reaches OPM. And I believe that's what happened to me. It got stuck somewhere. That is why someone may hear 108 days and assume they need approximately 3.5 months of preparation, but their completed transition could last longer. Let's talk about what interim pay really means. Once OPM receives your completed application and determines that you are eligible, they may place you into an interim pay status while your final annuity is being calculated. Interim pay is not normally your complete retirement benefit. OPM's current guide says most retirees receive approximately 60 to 80% of their estimated finalized net annuity during this period. Let's stop right there, because this is where the financial pressure actually begins. Suppose you expect your finalized net pension to be, say, $3,000 per month. If your interim pay is 70%, you may receive approximately $2,100. That is a difference of $900 per month. Now, suppose your regular household expenses were, let's say, $3,200. Your interim pay would not only be $900 below your expected pension, it would also leave you approximately $1,100 short of what you need to cover your normal monthly expenses. That gap may continue month after month until your case is actually finalized. Your rent does not become 70% of your normal amount. Your mortgage company does not place your payment into interim status. Your car payment, insurance, groceries, utilities, prescription, credit cards, those payments still arrive in full amount. That is why knowing your estimated pension is just not enough. You need to know what your financial life may look like before the full pension begins. There's another detail FERS retiree also need to understand. OPM says interim pay does not include any FERS annuity supplements you may eventually qualify to receive. I didn't receive mine until my pension was finalized 327 days later. So I literally lived off of $1,800. OPM may also reconcile health, life insurance premium when it finalizes your case and calculates the adjustment payment. So do not automatically assume that your interim payment plus your eventual adjustment payment will look the way you imagine. Review every calculation, every deduction, and just know that OPM is going to take all of those back pay premiums away from you before you received your first check. I personally paid over $20,000 because my case took so long. That 108 days is just an average. It's not a deadline, nor is it a guarantee. OPM warns that certain situation could add additional time onto your retirement case. And we could talk about what some of those situations include. Court orders, garnishment, divorce decree, property settlement, special retirement computation. For instance, law enforcement officers, firefighters, air traffic controllers, Supreme Court police, and nuclear materials couriers. Past or active workers' comp claim could affect your time frame. Whether you are part-time or an intermittent federal service employee could also affect your timeline. Being employed at multiple federal agencies also affect your timeline. And lastly, any missing, incomplete, or incorrect documents could affect your timeline. Now, this does not mean every person with one of these circumstances will experience an extreme delay. It means that you should not build your financial plan around the fastest possible outcome, because that's stress, ladies and gentlemen. Hope for a smooth process, but prepare for a longer one, because the worst time to discover that you cannot afford several months of reduced income is after your federal paycheck has already stopped. Now I want to talk about the 3 numbers you really need to know before retiring. Before you choose your retirement date, you need to know at least 3 numbers. The first is your estimated full net monthly annuity, not the gross estimate. You need to consider the deductions that may come out of your retirement payment. The number 2 is a conservative estimate of your interim payments. Even though OPM says interim payments is typically around 60 to 80% for most retirees, I would rather prepare using a lower number. I would rather prepare using the lower end of the range and be pleasantly surprised than building a plan around the highest amount and come up short. Building a plane while you're flying it. The third number is your essential monthly expenses. You already know what they are. Not what you hope to spend, not the budget you plan to start someday. What does it actually cost you to keep your household operating right now? Think in terms of housing, transportation, insurance, your utility payments, food, because you have to eat, medication, because you got to stay healthy, and any debt payments that you have, loans or credit cards, those kinds of things, and every other expense that must be paid each and every month. Once you know those 3 numbers, you can estimate the monthly difference between your interim income and your actual expenses. That difference is the amount you may need to cover from your savings, your annual leave payout, or some other source of income, or temporarily reduce your spending habits. Now I want to get into the free Surviving the Wait calculator that I developed. This is exactly why I created the free Surviving the Wait, the OPM Wait calculator. The calculator helps you compare your essential full annuity with a possible interim payment amount and your regular monthly expenses. How to use it? You enter your estimated pension information, you enter your monthly expenses, you enter your high threes, and then you enter how much money you have saved for this rainy day. And it helps you see the potential gap you may need to cover while your retirement is being processed. Now let's use the example we just discussed. Estimated full net annuity of $3,000, estimated interim percentage of $70, monthly expenses of $3,200. The estimated interim amount would be $2,100. That would leave a potential monthly expense shortfall of that $1,100 we talked about. Over 3 months, if you're not prepared, that could approximately be $3,300 that you must come up with from somewhere else. Over a period of 6 months, that gap could grow to approximately $6,600. Think about it. This is not a prediction of how long your personal case will take. It is a planning exercise that allows you to see what different waiting periods could cost you, because you can't control exactly how long OPM takes. However, you can prepare for how the wait may affect your household. The calculator is free. It's something I'm actually proud of that I developed, and I will place the link in the video description and pin it in the comment section. Now let's talk about build the bridge before you retire. After you calculate your potential gaps, if you're still working. The next step is to create a plan to cover your gaps. My retirement guide walks you through your income, essential expenses, flexible spending, debts, emergency savings, and the adjustment you may be able to make before retirement. This is not about frightening you out of retirement. This is not about bashing OPM, and it is not about telling you that you need to have everything perfectly figured out, because I did not. It's about helping you avoid walking into retirement believing your full pension will begin immediately. So go ahead, run the free calculator first. I challenge you. Look honestly at your potential differences and then use the budget guide to start building your financial bridge, your breathing room, your financial runway while you still have a regular paycheck. Maybe that means reducing certain expenses. I know when we retire, we have our parties planned, we have our trips mapped out, where we're going, but sometimes we may have to wait for those things. Maybe it means setting aside part of your annual leave payout when you receive it and putting it in a high-yield savings account. Or maybe it means delaying a major purchase. I don't know what it is about retired people. They like to go buy a new car when they retire. I don't know what that's about. Or maybe it simply means knowing exactly how much savings you will need available so you are not forced to use credit card while waiting. The goal is not perfection. The goal is preparation. It is a diagnosis. Both links will be directly below this video. The June numbers tells us two things at the same time. OPM is processing a large number of retirement cases and reducing its pending inventory, but the average processing time still increased from 108 days, and the paper averaged over 120 days. So federal employees need to prepare for more than just their retirement date. You need to prepare for the period between your final federal check and your first full. But waiting was not the end of my story. Watch my federal pension is still wrong next. You may be amused. I will walk you through what happened to my actual case, what I did about it, what I discovered when I reviewed the calculations, and why every federal employee need to check the numbers OPM sends them.